Alright, so this video is going to be for the anxious one. We aren't what we think about, and yet at the same time, we are what we think. We aren't actually the content of our ideas. We are the one above that, the one that's observing all the ideas. And so if you are anxious, you have to zoom out and understand the way that the world works a little bit so you can break free from that anxiety prison that you've got yourself in. So I'm going to try and explain the way that I understand it. If it helps you, then that's great. The egoic quest for self-gratification often cuts us off from our inner knowledge. We are not our mind, we are the universe re-experiencing itself through everything that we do. So the consciousness is doing things through us, and it is us. We are the I and the seer. So we are the function, the brain, the I, and we also are the spirit that is experiencing the world. Our human mind's job is to think, separate, organize, fragment ourselves from other people to know that we are separate identities. You are you and I am me. But living in that headspace, we are under the chokehold of our thoughts, and we as humans over-identify with our thoughts, and that's where suffering comes from, not realizing that what we see, everything is us when we see from the heart, and that's the consciousness and the spirit in everything and in us. We are mirrors to everything, and everything is a hologram. So the world is a projection of our mind. Reality is the mirror to our dream. Consciousness is the reflection of the subconscious. Your thoughts reflect your reality. Even your own self is reflected in the mirror. Your reflection to the world is your relationship to yourself, because the world is you. That's probably why we have such a hard time and such a battle between the heart and the mind. It's the energy spirit that's bringing us back to ourselves, our inner knowledge, and the mind that's rationalizing everything that we do. So going back to anxiety and going back to the mind runs a certain program because that's the one that's been installed in us. When we grow up, we are modeled one type of program. So, of course, the mind doing its job, it's running this program for us of how relationships are supposed to be. This is the way that we are initiated into the world with our first experiences through family. So it does its job until awareness is returned back to our true essence when we mature. So if we are not our thoughts, and thoughts are just floating around in the ether, and we attract them, we are the one that's noticing them. The minute that we identify with them, we are met with like frequency. For example, insecurity will always be met with lack mindset. Sadness will always relate to sadness in song. Anger in one person can make another respond in anger in order to defend themselves. Resonating frequencies align. So reality responds like an echo, confirming what it's heard. So for the anxious one, you have to let go of the illusion of control, because you are worrying about the future because of a certain expectation. You've already attached the outcome of how it's gonna or should turn out. You're suffering in your present, in your now moment, because of something that's not even happened yet. The house is being built because you asked for the house, but not how you asked. You see what I mean? The energy that you are emitting, underlying what you say, is what's going to be made and built and attracted. Also, your anxious energy gets caught in a pendulum that's, by the way, fed by you. A polar extreme will always take you out of balance along with what comes with it, stepping out of center, out of alignment into the storm, which is the other side of the extreme. For example, physical symptoms like nail biting when you're anxious, or heart palpitations, or sweating, or whatever you have. And so another aspect is the dependency on a certain outcome. The expectation on people and things will also bring about naturally negative feelings as you basically smother the flower instead of letting it be and appreciating it the way that it is. You expect it to be. You're taking that flower, you're rearranging it and saying this is how it should be, but actually it's already going to come in the way that it needs to. So the way that we change our life is by changing the original image, not the reflection. So getting back to the roots, which is us, it's you. Since everything comes from within, we have to change our attitudes that we attach to a neutral world. We are the giant filters that filter in a neutral world, and our minds attach a meaning to it. We either like what we see or we don't, and then our thoughts correspond with the reflection and obviously strengthening the situation that exists. And then what's going to tend to happen is you're going to attract a polar opposite to you. For example, if you are very anxious about certain things, you're going to attract someone that's very dismissive or avoidant, not just in relationships but in situations, because the law of balance has to balance out your energy. It's going to be disguised as something that you asked for, but is going to basically mirror your underlying energy but be disguised as what you want. So again, you have to be aware and use yourself as a mirror, or your feelings as a mirror, to realize when you are getting pulled out of balance and into a pendulum. So the way that we can change that is to remove the projected importance on that thing so that the mind can essentially breathe. The way that we do that is we rebalance by being still. So consciousness is then turned back inwards so that we can shine a light on the broken pieces and the light can come through. In other words, the sun rays, the light, when it's turned inwards, will make the lotus flower grow. All traditions have a period of time when they retreat into darkness in order to recognize their own light. After a period of time when light is taken away from us, we begin to recognize that the light was always in us, or a part of it was in us. Through contrast, that's how we recognize things. When they are taken away from us, we appreciate them even more, and through the pineal gland, in stillness, in the darkness, we experience our own subtle energy forms. So the way to calm your anxiety is to go within. If you want to recognize happiness, you go within. Happiness is not something purchasable like a suit or a pair of shoes. Us humans, we often seek answers to the forces of the world as if they're outside of us. But if you're not sure who you are, you look inside and you'll awaken to it. All of who you are doesn't need an answer from the mind. The answers lie in less questions. If you turn within and you ask the question, who am I? And you don't know how to answer that, that's because the mind is trying to formulate a question, formulate the situation. The answers lie in less questions. We are the observer, the consciousness. Listen to the heart, it knows.